This is Local Decision 2024. I'm Eric Nelson. Thanks so much for tuning us in. And joining us now is Udomah, who is running for City Council Ward 2 in Blaine. And we appreciate you stopping by. And let's start out with you telling the viewers about yourself and why you want to get on the Blaine City Council.
Thank you, Eric, for having me. Thank you to North Metro TV for having me. Hello, everybody. My name is Udomah, and I'm privileged to be the candidate for Ward 2. I wanted to get into the race because I believe in the community of this Blaine. I believe in the potential of this community. I've lived in this community my whole life, since 2003. I was born in 2001. My parents built their first home here because they believed in Blaine, and I believe in Blaine. I've seen it grow. I've grown along with it, and it's just a very good place to be right now. And this city's at an inflection point with all the growth coming in, with all the new projects going on, and I think now's the time to get in to offer my perspective and just offer an even better perspective into a place that we can call home.
What kind of experience do you have that gives you perspective and makes you qualified to be on the council?
Well, my experience is Blaine. I was born in 2001. I was born in St. Paul. My parents, we used to live in New Brighton for the first 2 years, almost 2 years of my life. And in 2003, we built our first house here, and I've been here ever since. And ever since I've grown up here, I've seen Blaine change. I've seen all the new houses come in, the new people come in. I've gone to the local schools. I've played in the local clubs. And I just think I offer a very unique experience as opposed to I'm not very old, as some people would say. It's kind of young. And I just think that's a very good perspective to have on the council, because in local government and government especially, we just don't have the experience of younger people, or just it's a new experience that I think would be added value to the council.
So literally, Blaine is in your DNA.
Yes. Yeah.
And okay. So what do you like about Blaine at this point in time?
I like Blaine. I just like all the people who live here. I have made the greatest friends here. I've also met the kindest people, whether it be strangers. My first job was in the city of Blaine, helping. I used to work at Walmart. I saw the most lovely people there, as well as I think this community is really something worth fighting for, as well as just as long as we make changes that involve everybody, as well as more community-focused leadership, I think Blaine can flourish as it already has in the past, and it will in the future, as I hope.
So how can you make Blaine even better?
Blaine, well, one thing I want to do is, one of my main priorities if I get elected is building a community center. There's comparable cities like Maple Grove, Plymouth, Woodbury. They all are comparable cities in Blaine in size and general shape, but we're one of the only cities in that thing. Even Shoreview, a smaller city by 50,000 people, has a community center. And it's just like we're missing that community factor that really brings people together. People are going outside of Blaine to do things that they could do in here instead of, for instance, hosting events, having basketball games, or just even open gym. And I think a community center, along with an expanded and renovated park program, would really do wonders for the community, as well as there's been some transparency issues surrounding the council of late regarding this $1.5 million scam. And there's already a federal investigation into the matter, into the crime of it. But what we need to know is what was going on behind closed doors, how did the city react. That's where the transparency is missing. And frankly, I think we need more of it.
Can a community center be a gathering spot? I use Brooklyn Park as an example, similar size city to Blaine, where they can play hockey in there, they can play basketball, there's a running track, there's aerobic classes, there's meeting rooms. Is that what your vision would be for Blaine?
Yes, and along with even with all those things, there's the potential for events like a farmer's market, for instance, or even just a place for instance, an after-school club meeting, or just any community club organization. They could just go to the community center. It's a place we could just have the community come together, and just of all ages too, whether you're young or you're old, or you're new to Blaine, you're old to Blaine. It's just a place where everybody can come together, meet your neighbors, have fun, just join a rec league. We could have those, for instance. It's just a lot of potential with that, a very good potential.
Blaine has some grandiose visions, a planned entertainment district that will feature hotels, restaurants, an event stadium. The goal is to give Blaine a downtown. Are you excited about this proposal?
Yes, in theory. It's just I have a few problems with how the cost is going to be. For instance, I don't know if this is known, but the Anoka County commission yesterday was discussing a tax abatement for the property, as well as I still have to find out how that went through. I was still looking for information, but we should make sure that that this is wanted for one, as well as who is going to truly pay for this thing. Because if we're having all these gross things, do people actually want it, or is it just something for us to have in Blaine just for outsiders? Is something really good for the community, or is it something that we're just going to pay for on later?
Well, you're a Blaine guy, as we have talked about, so I'm sure you've been agitated and frustrated driving up and down Minnesota State Highway 65. But the improvements are coming. We know that. How much better will Blaine be when 65 is, up and to the scale it needs to be?
I think it will be very much better when it's all said and done, because I think this project is a little bit late. For instance, Blaine has outpaced growth by a lot. In 2010, the city population was about between 56 to 59,000 people, and now it's over 74,000. And I just think that this is long overdue, especially considering how dangerous some parts of 65 are. So many crashes, so many just accidents, so many reckless and avoidable deaths. Had this been done sooner, and I'm glad it's done now. We just need to make sure that when the project actually does come around, it affects the traffic mitigation, and the disruptions are minimized as much as we can, because I like thousands of other people live along the 65 corridor really close, and we use it every day. And we have to make sure that the new 65 is something that everybody has equal access to, as well as disrupts people the less. There are people who live off 65. Let's make sure that they're not bothered by this disruption. They still have access to everything they need to get to.
Yeah, and 65 really is the gateway.
It's the gateway of Blaine. It's our main street, basically.
Is Blaine growing too fast, or do you like the pace the city's on?
I would say Blaine is growing because people want to live here. They see the potential. They see what my parents saw when they moved here. They see what all these other people saw when they moved here. It's somewhere people want to be, and I think we can't really. We should anticipate the growth, and we should make it so it's as seamless a transition as possible.
Okay, so Blaine is looking at the 2025 budget, and the initial estimates show a potential 15 to 17% levy increase. Last year, the city also had a double-digit tax levy increase. Are these increases necessary, or can taxes go down?
I believe with fiscal management and prioritizing budget priorities, as well as just making sure that this budget is what Blaine needs, is how we can get taxes to go down. We don't need to be spending on unnecessary things, and also we also don't need to have egregious spending on things we do need. For instance, we don't, just very fiscal management, very conscious spending.
If you're elected to the council, you'd be the youngest council person, sitting in the chamber. Is that something the council needs, just to balance things out and maybe have a different perspective?
I mean, I would say yes in the case of a different perspective. As far as I know, nobody in the Blaine City Council in history has been under 30 years old. And I think as Blaine grows, the future of Blaine is people who are moving here to start families. And I think that a perspective closer to them is much needed, because Blaine is a city of everybody, young, old, no matter what your race is, whoever you are, everybody lives in Blaine. And as many perspectives we had on the council would contribute to a better connected community and a better run city.
Do you feel like Blaine embraces diversity?
Yes, I do. I really do. Blaine, prior to when I was growing up, there wasn't as much diversity in Blaine, but now as we've gotten, as the future goes on, more people are coming to Blaine. I think we should embrace that. We can't turn these people away, because that's not what a city does. Everybody has a right to live in Blaine. But when we embrace it, I think we're stronger.
All right, so if you get elected, tell the viewers about a couple things you would do on the council.
Well, one of my first priorities is making sure that transparency and accountability are promoted. I want to introduce independent audits into the council to make sure that people know what's going on in their city, know what their city council is up to, as well as provide greater greater options for public input. This is the first, city council is one of the first rings of government in the way in our United States. And when people are involved, the city does the city does well. Excuse me, I'm kind of nervous. But as we get more people into the process that can, for instance, have more people involved in city projects, or for instance, like the 105th Development Project or the Northtown Project, or and like 65, for instance, more input provides more opportunity to see like, oh, we can see that, for instance, this might not work for these people. Let's try to find another way that could work for everybody.
You hear some people say that young people these days aren't engaged in the political process, but here you are. You're knee deep in it.
Yes.
You're taking that splash, that plunge. What got you thinking? Okay, I want to get into this, or at least give it a try.
Well, originally, I do relate to how young people feel disenfranchised, especially in national politics, and I feel like that's also because national politics is mainly like the most important thing we see. It's all we see on news. We don't really see local government. For instance, we wouldn't see what's going on in Arizona or Texas. But I think young people should be involved in local politics because most of our day-to-day lives are run by local politicians, whether it be the city council or the city clerk or the engineering department or roads and bridges or department. Local government matters because it runs our day-to-day life, and when local government works for the people are flourished. The people, it's one thing less to worry about in our busy lives.
What do you do for fun in Blaine?
In Blaine, I like to go on hikes in one of my favorite places in Blaine is Pioneer Park, the Blaine Wetlands Sanctuary, as well as Loch Ness Park. Loch Ness Park has one of the best views of the sunset in Blaine, as well as a good disc golf course. I like playing soccer at the National Sports Center when there was a free field there, as well as I like going to the restaurants. One of my favorite places is the new it was renovated a long time ago, like 2 years ago, the Northtown food court. I think it's very good now. People should give it a try. I like it, as well as just hanging with my friends and family that live in Blaine.
Parks are a key part of any city. Do you think Blaine does well in in that category? Do you give them a big check?
Yes, I say they do well, but we could do better. There's definitely potential in our parks, especially there are some parks that are more neglected than other parks, for instance, and I think everybody deserves adequate access to a decent park, no matter where they live in Blaine.
All right, before we wrap this up, tell the viewers why they should vote for you.
I think you should vote for me because I am dedicated to transparency and accountability, as well as serving the people of Blaine. This is an inflection moment in our history. There are so many projects on the way and that are continuing right now that if we don't have the adequate leadership to do it, then we miss the mark. And then we just need sustainable management as well as forward-thinking leadership to take us into the future the right way this time.
And you have been door knocking, right?
Yes, I have been door knocking.
How's that going?
It's going good. What's it called? This is a very grassroots campaign. We don't have that, we're not the most funded campaign. We're not the most staffed campaign, but it's a campaign with passion, with dedication. And I believe that as long as we put in the work, that we can win this election.
All right, well, thanks for stopping by.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, he's Udomah, running for Blaine City Council Ward 2. This is Local Decision 2024.